We're talking oceans economy today on this, the latest in the series of New Age business briefings brought to you by the SABC. Today, very kindly sponsored by Transnet, a key pillar themselves in the whole logistics chain within the oceans economy. Now, we've been talking to panelists here, and also we've heard from a few voices on the floor and even some young people that are involved in careers in the oceans economy. But I'd like to get a sense of the room in terms of some of the private sector's involvement. And we have a gentleman who's the president, I think, of the Shipping Association. If you could stand up, sir, just say your name. And I just want to get a sense of, A, what the Shipping Association does and your view of the oceans economy and where we're going.
Good morning. I'm Peter Besnard, CEO of the South African Association of Ships Operators and Agents. We represent all shipping lines, vessel agents, basically take up the fight against many of the panel that are sitting there. Yeah. But if I may say, I've been to a number of workshops now involving the PACISA discussions and what have you. And I think there's many young people who are pinning their hopes on the success of Operation PACISA, because the shipping industry is vast. It offers many opportunities. But I think things, and if I might say, Peter, I think you've done your homework by the questions that you're asking. I think the progress is very slow. I've heard this in Saldanha, I've heard it in Cape Town. If I go to Johannesburg, it's the same questions that are asking what's happening with PACISA. Yes, there's been a number of workshops that, as I say, I've been to. We participated, but there's not much feedback coming out of it.
So what do you think? What do you think is holding things back, and what do you think needs to be done?
I don't think there's the kind of drive that's necessary. Somebody needs to take, you want to, the bull by the horns and really get things moving. I think it's far too slow a process. If we're moving, at this pace. If you look at the matriculants that are coming out every year, there's thousands, and those are all youngsters that we have to find jobs for. So I think somebody really needs to look at the big picture, and realize and aim for exactly what PACISA means.
Okay. All right, so I think we've got Mr. Maharaj, who's a tugboat builder. Where is Mr. Maharaj? Okay, if I can get a microphone to you. So, I mean, this is quite a specialized thing that you do. And I'm wondering, A, how you got into it and how others can get into this. And is Transnet supporting your business? Because without them supporting you, I guess you don't have a business.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I am, by the way, not a marine engineer by qualification. So marine engineers, besides fixing ships, we also build ships.
Right.
I come from a finance background, and I'm an entrepreneur. We got into the business because of government's policies. Government says we need transformation of the maritime sector. So we as a black empowerment company saw the opportunity to acquire a shipyard and get involved in the sector. Secondly, you're rightly so, we cannot exist without Transnet for two reasons. Number one, we live on Transnet property. All port land belongs to Transnet. So without Transnet giving shipyards like ourselves and others leases, we won't be able to have successful shipbuilding companies. And secondly, Transnet supports us by giving us projects to do. So as Richard had mentioned, we are currently executing a 1.45 billion rand contract for Transnet. It's the single largest shipbuilding contract placed locally so far. So we're very proud of to be the recipient of that project. But more importantly, we are very happy about Transnet's commitment to build locally, to localization, because very easily you can be very price sensitive and go to the cheapest corner of the globe and build these vessels. But Transnet says, no, we need to industrialize. He's talking about the fifth revolution. Okay. So yes, That's our involvement with Transnet, and not in Transnet, but the other state-owned enterprises that are also deciding to procure their vessels locally.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Maharaj. There's another shipbuilder, I think, that's on this side. If you could put your hand up, we'll get a microphone to you. And just tell us your name. Okay.
Good morning, Peter.
So you've been building ships, I'm sure, for some time now. How do we make this... how do we make South Africa a center for shipbuilding for the whole world?
Well, Peter, I'm actually from a ship repairer. We used to be a shipbuilder many years ago. In fact, since 1903.
Do you want to put the microphone a bit higher? Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. We're actually a ship repairer.
Right.
And one of the major successes of Operation Pakisa happened as recently as September last year, when we had the arrival of a brand new floating dock, which was with the kind of support of Operation Pakisa and the Department of Trade and Industry. These initiatives certainly create thousands of opportunities in terms of employment. We have more than 3,000 vessels passing our coastline each year. All of them have the potential to carry out repairs. And you'll see that in the sector, I think 2 billion rand. It's a 2 billion rand industry at the moment. And we're hoping to double that with the acquisition of more floating docks.
Who trains your ship repairers? Where do we get these skills?
We're actually an award-winning training company. We've been nominated by Transnet as the top ship repairer in the country for our training initiatives as well. We've trained over 700 apprentices in the last 4 years, and it's got to all be local.
Okay, so apprenticeship, ongoing practical training as well as theory. Because if we do go beyond this 10% I keep hearing, your job is going to get even more, and that's where the oceans economy really kicks off.
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution. I'm going to ask you to put the microphone to the table behind you, where we're going to meet Londi Ngobo, who's a Dredge Master. Now, Dredge Master sounds like a front man in a rock band, but I'm sure that's not what you do. So, what is a Dredge Master?
I navigate dredges currently deployed on Transnet's 1 billion rand baby, the Isanlwana. So basically what we do, we focus mainly on the excavation of the seabed. So we do maintenance in all ports and hydrographic surveys. So we just basically maintain required depths to all navigable waters, so as to ensure safe passage of all ships coming in and out of South Africa.
So I suppose weather patterns, moving sand movements, silt and all of that makes this something you've constantly got to be aware of and move around. And I suppose, so the challenge, what about places like Richards Bay that's quite deep, isn't it?
Yeah, part of our jobs, actually most of it, we have to navigate and maneuver the ship in very confined spaces and very shallow waters. So those are the challenges that we face. But with Transnet's ever so, like my CE would say, agile approach to the business, we have our world-class, state-of-art dredgers who are able to maneuver and compensate for all the difficulties we might face.
All right, Dredge Master, fantastic. Okay, next to you, Khomotso Mpatlele, also a marine facilitator. So we've met a marine engineer, but what's a marine facilitator?
Hi, good morning, Peter. I'm a senior marine facilitator with the Maritime School of Excellence. So basically my function, Portia would have come through me. Londi would have come through me. The skippers, GPRs, ordinary seafarers, able seafarers, they would have all come through me. And what I also do is I then assist the quality team and the curriculum development team from the subject matter expertise that I've got. in order
so
to...
you're making sure that the skills get developed and that they
Absolutely.
are constantly getting updated with the latest skills requirements to make sure that Transnet remains a world-class business.
That's right, absolutely.
Okay, so
Yes.
huge shoulders. It's just women there. This is amazing, isn't it? It's brilliant. Good job being done there. Fantastic. Okay, let's go to table number 8, where we'll find Mr. Jeff Ndlovu, who's the president of SACI. Mr. Ndlovu, where are you?
Is that?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, it's not a question, but it's really an explanation to the question raised earlier on. What does Transnet do in terms of developing people in the rural areas? I think a specific area he cited was Nkandla. Transnet has, for the last 20 years, been a full supporter monetarily of the J.G. Zuma Education Trust, where we develop basically high school kids as well as tertiary students in the greater KZN and in other areas. On the 29th of December, we had a big celebration in terms of the graduation that took place. So over and above the investment that we are doing, market demand strategy, we are also developing people, and we are concentrating mainly on the outskirts of our country, making sure that we keep the economies of our rural areas live.
Well,
thank you.
Good to hear. Thank you very much indeed. Table number 12, Thokozani Mkhize. Thokozani, where are you? There we go.
I'm here. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My question is that oceans economy in South Africa is currently crawling. So how can we disseminate it to the SADC region before we unlock the economic potential for our country? And in that, the other thing I need to know is that how many jobs have we created thus far, as from August the 15th when we launched it, and what percentage have been contributed into the GDP? Also, how many ships have been built? Because the other thing is that the motto for Ocean's economy was that we are doing our business unusual. And I just want to know that as Transnet, what have you done as business unusual to promote Ocean's economy for South Africa?
All right, very interesting. I hope you made a mental note, gentlemen. I'm going to take one more. Ryan Reddy, who's on table number 15. Ryan Reddy.
Program Director, it's Rajan Reddy. No
Rajan,
problem.
okay.
That's fine. I think when it comes to radical economic empowerment, I think we have a stalwart there on the stage by Themba Gwala. We've been part of this program director for 21 years, so the Port of Durban was actually the initiator of this radical empowerment. So that is exactly, I can tell you some other time, what is the difference between mentorship program and your procurement program, what's failing with the procurement program, and why the mentorship program that the Port of Durban initiated, and why was it successful. And just my other question was, when I was in bunkering, one of the things that hindered the of bunkering was the port tariff for a vessel that was coming into the port just to receive bunkers. And that's what steered a lot of vessels away from Cape Town. So Cape Town lost a lot of vessels coming into the port just to bunker. Thank you.
All right, so what we're going to do, gentlemen, because we've run out of time, I'm going to now ask you to give your final thoughts. But in your final thoughts, please incorporate the questions that have been raised by our last two questionnaires. So I'm going to finish with you. I'm going to start with you, Kwezi. Your final thoughts, and if there's anything you want to comment on what you've just heard, please do so.
Thanks again, Peter. I think I would like to focus my attention to the question about SADC. I think that as South Africans, when we're having conversations about unlocking something in Africa, we're always quite comfortable, and rightly so, by imposing our own South African lenses. Legal lens, risk lens, opportunity lens, and so forth. I think that the point that was made by the speaker who asked this question about SADC, she was quite emphatic on what it is that we're doing differently. And I think that our institutions, including Transnet at times, when we do due diligence for the purposes of identifying opportunities on the continent, we fail or we disconnect with the reality that is found in some of the institutions that we either wish to acquire or that we wish to do business in. We almost always disconnect with the reality of the absence or different legal frameworks that exist to regulate the kind of sectors that we want to go into. I think going forward, I think we all need to be quite enthusiastic in changing our own mindset to be far more accommodative of the realities that we find in the rest of the continent. Okay. And the continent is not really that much helpless. It does have its own ways of doing things. It's a question of continuously seeking to make the necessary connection.
Fantastic. Mike Hawes, you have literally 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think just to answer, just to answer the lady, we've done a lot of work in getting alignment of ministries sorted out, the taxation of maritime industries and people involved in maritime business. I know it's a long story. The next 2 years, I really believe, will be a watershed for South Africa. And 5-year plans repeat themselves again and again. If you just look at Korea as a history, you will see how many 5-year plans South Korea has had. Thank you.
Fantastic. Mr. Gwala?
Thanks, Peter. I think I would urge the private sector to work closely with us to try and put some efforts in accelerating the progress in terms of ocean economy. Secondly, although the lady spoke about SADC, but we've started to penetrate Africa. I am mentioning Benin, we're busy with Tanzania, we're busy with Kenya, we're busy with Mozambique. So yes, something will come. In Benin, we're operational already. I've got South African living in Benin, doing a job there. You can imagine if we scale more and export them to African countries.
Fantastic. And Richard Belly?
Well, there's 2 points that I want to make. Firstly, on this regional economic integration is very important, and I think Themba has touched on that. But we are now working with the North-South corridor, which we are obviously trying to strengthen. We're working with 5 railway companies that goods that come in through the ports go all the way through Zimbabwe, Zambia, and into the DRC, into Lubumbashi. So we have block trains that are already starting, and we're getting some traction there. We are improving our efficiencies. But I think it'll be remiss of me not to mention that there are a number of projects already that we've started off on Pakisa. It's the governance that takes time when we start to choose who we want to partner with. Now, when the President talked about the laboratory in July of 2014, it was an ambitious project, 177 billion contribution to the GDP, by 2033, 1 million people that will be employed. Now, in Saldanha, so we've identified 3 ports, Saldanha, the port of Richards Bay, and East London. In Saldanha, we have 3 projects already. We are just about now to choose who is going to be our partner there in terms of the offshore supply base. Now, we have a rule of thumb, that for every billion that we spend, we will create 1,000 direct and indirect jobs. Now, the entire maritime transport manufacturing is about 15 billion, so that in its sense is 15,000. But we don't actually consider what happens when you construct that. So we had to construct a quay wall, a Moscas pier for rig repair. We've got about 100 rig repairs that are exploring for oil and gas on the western seaboard in the Atlantic. So they need to be repaired, those rigs. Shipbuilding as well. We are now looking at putting out an RFP, or we're just about to choose someone to build a floating dock for the port of Richards Bay. And all our other ship repair facilities in the Port of Cape Town and the Port of Durban. We are also just about to choose a successful bidder for our cruise terminal here in the Port of Durban, like we have in the Port of Cape Town. So a number of things are happening, and that would be sort of communicated with.
We look forward with much anticipation and excitement for those in Nkandla and other places for the future that this oceans economy has to hold. But gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for shining a bit of light on this, and let's just hope that the pace picks up and a lot of energy goes into the various areas of potential. For you at home, thank you very much for joining us and being part of this conversation, as I thank my studio guests here as well that have contributed to this conversation. Look into the oceans economy, see where you can fit in, huge opportunities, and if we all do it together, we may just do something amazing. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
On the final episode of Fees van die Ongenooides. The struggle for survival. A blessing of hope.
Van nou af praat ons nie weer nie.
Can be destroyed.
Wie sou ons gewees het as die oorlog nie oor ons gekom het nie?
Net ons selfs.
Fees van die Ongenooides. The conclusion, Tuesday at 7.
This time on My Night, we are meeting Carla Amy, a prefect from Sanssouci Girls High School. Carla is a flautist, she loves to design dresses, is a house captain at school, and her talents even extend to photography. She knows exactly what she wants, but will the dance live up to her expectations? Find out as she prepares for the night of her life. My Night, every Friday.